Hey. How are you, girlfriend? Fancy Lou Who, how are you? Oh, freezing to death. We've got your rain. Thank you for sending it to us. We needed rain, and it came on a good day. Mm. Ori, what's going on, sister? For Pete's sake, now I'm in trouble. I'm just tired and this rain's making me hurt. If she's still up when the read's over, she can talk to me before we go to bed. My gosh, she talked to me like forever today and yesterday too. No, my head's not hurting. It's just heavy. Hey, Vincy. I don't know if I said this in which chat I said this in, but the camper is now pulled into the garage of the house. I don't know if they're staying in it or packing it. She's a mess. Bless her heart. Well, hello there, Ernestine. Why are you signed on under Dalton's name? It's my Jerry Bear. I thought you might want to come and listen to me say baby girl a few times. So, it's been an interesting day, and I've talked to you three all day. It's not Dalton. Ori, it's not Dalton. It's Jerry Bear. You asked me today why he hasn't been on our live reads. So I sent him the link to the live read because I moved it to YouTube and he hasn't been on YouTube. See? It's Jerry Bear. He's not a teddy bear, he's a Jerry Bear. And Jerry, it's not Ori, really. Well, it is Ori for real, but we know her as Nina. Hey, Raven's in the house. I don't blame you there. Luckily, I knew your son's name, huh? Lord, honey, it looks like I got a rat's nest on top of my head. What the hell did I do to my hair? Look, these are my roots. That's my roots. 2 weeks worth of roots, y'all. 2 weeks worth of roots. Hey. Raven's in the house. Show us your root, Jerry Bear. Show us your root. Nina, have you talked to Sarah Beth? Am I supposed to read any certain parts or anything? Because I haven't. Raven, Dalton Payne is my friend Jerry Bear, and he loves older women, so watch out. Okay, no baby girls then. I have a feeling. I don't know. There's a bullshit right off. I was gonna say I have a feeling this is just a sweet old. Oh fuck! This might get good right off, y'all. I promise not to say any baby girls in from the book. Okay. Lord, my thing's hiding. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I don't have a. Oh, now it shows up. I don't have a cover to show you guys, so you'll have to go to the group to see the cover. Otherwise, the book is called Love and the Liffey, Liffey. I don't know what a Liffey is. Maybe it's a Liffey. I don't know. We're going with Liffey by Sarah James Beth. You guys try to. Oh, yeah. Your virgin ears. Ain't a virgin spot on your body. You better cover up your bourbon. You better cover up your virgin ears. Chapter 1. The problem was that movies, books, and entertainment world gave me a false viewpoint of the real world. A screwed up idea that love was real, the whole knight in shining armor swooping in to save the fair maiden, true love bullshit. However hard things were in my life, you would always have someone there for you. A family, friends, love, someone perhaps not to save you per se, but to allow you to save yourself with their support. To pull you back from the edge when you needed it. Someone to notice when you were breaking, to listen, or to get drunk with you, or even just to hold you as the tears started to fall. The reality was always much different than that. You ended up alone, desperate for something or someone to hold on to stop you from drowning in the endless ocean of pain, begging for help from loved ones, medical services, depression groups, and counselors only to be abandoned. Left to live or die under your own power, trying to struggle through everything completely alone when you just felt so heartsick and exhausted you wanted to do nothing apart from sleep for a few years. Your heart hardens as you start to understand that no one actually cares. That if you were gone, if this was your last night on earth, no one would try to save you. Hell, it was doubtful if anyone would even notice you were gone until they required something from you. Of course, it wasn't always that way. Once upon a time, almost too long ago to recall, there had been one person, one wonderful, beautiful, amazing, pure person whom I had deeply and passionately loved. The only man that I ever had. We had been through everything together. I gave him my heart, my trust, the whole of me. Hey, Jackie. And in the end, he had betrayed me also, leaving me a broken husk of a person that could not be saved. Now I was all alone in the world, which is how I ended up here in Dublin City on the banks of the Liffey late at night staring into the water. Now I know what the Liffey is. Not sure if I was going to walk away, go back to a bar and get myself shit faced trying to forget him, or just give up and jump in, forget all my pain and just be free of everything. Um, Ori Nina is Sarah Beth from Ireland. Just wondering. I had always wanted to visit. Why Dublin of all places? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Why Dublin of all places? I wasn't entirely sure. I had always wanted to visit and never had a chance to. Perhaps in the back of my mind, I was ticking off a bucket list of sorts. Or perhaps I was just trying to recapture something long since lost. Or I was just trying to find any reason to hold on and not do this. I hadn't been expecting any answers. No guardian angel swooping in to save me. No knight in shining armor. Hell, not even one in rusted armor. I knew inside that this was the end for me. I idly checked my phone. He didn't message me, of course not, even though his icon was blinking as online. I was sure if I checked that his new toxic partner would be online as well, more than likely crowing over the fact he finally forced us apart forever. All we were to each other, all we endured, and me spending half of my lifetime keeping him alive, giving him anything and everything he needed, day or night, whatever the time zone. And here I was, shucked off like a condom. The fair weather friends surrounding him, talking trash about me, turning him from both my friendship and my love. I was kind of used to it. The fame, the leeches around him, they often pulled us apart until he manned up enough to say no. He always saw through it all of he always saw through it all eventually and returned full of apologies and promising it would never happen again. But it always did a few months later. And this time, I was certain he left for good. He made his foolish choices, and I did what I had to do. The one thing I knew I had to do was free myself, remove the pain locked so deeply inside my heart and soul. I texted him one last goodbye before throwing the phone into the river. He would never be able to contact me again, even if this did go wrong, and somehow, yet again, I survived. I sighed, staring into the waters, trying to find one last moment of inner strength to make that jump. Watching the bubbles as the phone sunk to the depths, never to be seen again. I heard someone behind me clear their throat. I ignored them. I cared not for the words of a random stranger. Young lady, as I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not doing an Irish accent, don't even go there. Young lady, as I'm not entirely sure if you are admiring the wonderful view of our city or considering throwing yourself in, may I please assure ye that the water is freezing and offer to buy you a drink. A deep voice offered with an all too sexual Irish lilt. God, I wish I could do an Irish lilt. But of course, I was in Ireland. What other vocals would I expect? I turned, taking in the gentleman that faced me. Tall, well dressed, raven haired, and that would be a black Irishman, clean shaven, polite, arms that looked like he worked out almost too much. I knew who he was straight away, even in the semi darkness of the street. And may I ask why Mr. Adrian Sparks, lead singer of the Pumpkin Spices and all too famous Irish best-selling artist, wants to take me, some random stranger, for a drink? I asked coldly. I am far too old for Cinderella stories and not too stupid to not know who you are. I already did the whole best friend with an artist bullcrap. I am not eager to put myself through it again. So kindly take your self righteous, famous asshole attitude and go fuck yourself. I am fine. Adrian sighed. Look, look. The Liffey will still be here in the morning should you still feel like throwing yourself in. Why don't you give me tonight to see if I can change your attitude towards stars, which I honestly don't blame you for having one. Most of us are total assholes, but I like to think I am not like that. If I can't, I won't stop you from leaving. But at least allow me to try and show you that some of us aren't alcoholic, drug addicted, sex addicted scumbags that would sell out their own mother for a joint. Please. It was the please that stuck in my mind. He would never have been so polite, nor would he have cared if he found me in this kind of state. Not anymore. And what exactly did I have to lose? I was already broken, far beyond any form of putting myself back together again. Fine, I snapped. One drink only, and then I'm leaving. Adrian offered his arm like a true gentleman. I know the perfect place. It's just a few streets away. If only I knew what I was getting myself into at that moment, the choices I would make because of that one acceptance of a drink. Would I still have taken his arm or would I have jumped? Would he have jumped in to save me? I would never know. But for now, at least, I had my Irish Prince Charming. Oh, you girls want to hear a deep voice? You need to listen to Jerry Bear. Jerry Bear's got a nice deep voice. Love talking to him on the phone. I sit awkwardly at a corner table, swilling around a half drunk pint of cider, half listening to some tourist caterwaulering her way through some old girl band song. If I wanted a bad karaoke, I could have stayed in England, I commented dryly. Look, I know this isn't the grandest of bars. Hell, I can't stand the tourist nights when they throw it open as karaoke, not open mic bands. However, it was the closest. I figured you might run off if I tried to take you any further away. Personally, I would much rather be listening to some real music. This burns my ears. He commented quietly, staring at his barely touched pint of Guinness. I sipped from the drink, staring around the bar, taking everything in. I love to people watch, but one thing bothered me. Why do none of them notice? He looked confused, like we skipped over 2 pages and he had lost the thread of our conversation. Notice what? Who you are. Why do they say nothing? In England, you would be swarmed with people asking for autographs and photos. He laughed. Darling, this is Dublin. No one gives a shit about who you are. It is only the odd tourist who notices me. In fact, there is a rumor that some big artists refuse to come here because they do not get bothered by fans. Or at least the tour guides in town tell the story. Now, my dear, just relax or at least go and give us a song. I'm sure you have a lovely voice. As the singer went off key again, he winced. You certainly couldn't be any more worse. I went pale, taking a much bigger swig. I can't. I drank now. It's impossible. He stared at me, waiting for a real answer. I might be flat. No, never mix singing and alcohol. Ruins the pitch of your voice. Have to be perfect. He grabbed his pint before downing it and slamming the empty glass down on the table so hard that it nearly cracked. He spat the next words out with a clear distaste. Whoever told you that you have to be perfect. Feeling scared for the first time in his company, I finished my own drink also before placing the glass down more carefully. I couldn't meet his gaze. It was time to leave. You can fill in the blanks. Outside right now, he snapped, slamming out the door. Grabbing my coat and bag, I followed silently. I felt tears threatening to fall as I waited for whatever came next, which would no doubt lead me back to the Liffey. My first instinct already was to run from him. I stood there shivering, too nervous to even put my coat on in case it enraged him further. I'm sorry, sir, for whatever I did wrong. My eyes to the floor. Angry men terrified me from my abused past. Listen here and listen good, woman, he snapped. Music is not about being perfect. It is about the vibe, the atmosphere, the connection to the audience, the whole experience of the event. And if you fuck it up, so fucking what? You are human. Deal with it. Whatever that man said to ye, he was a fucking fool and knows nothing about music. I'm fairly sure his whole sum of knowledge could fit on a postage stamp, and what he doesn't could fill the halls of Trinity College. Now you're going to damn well come with me and unlearn all of this fickin' shite he filled your head with. I can read it. I can sound it better if it's written in Irish. He noticed me shivering in the drizzling rain, his temper fading. And for God's sake, get your coat on before you freeze. And while we are at it, never call me sir again. I am your friend, not your dom. He waited impatiently for me to cover up before striding off across the streets with barely a glance behind to see if I was following. Twisting down dark alleyways and roads with people traveling them, we were disappearing from the heart of the tourist area. I could almost start to fantasize about him leading me somewhere to murder me with no witnesses. But I guess I could only dream of being that lucky. We stopped outside a bar, which looked disused, the paint peeling off. The only clue that it was still active as a bar was the bouncer stood beside the door checking ID, and a half a dozen people stood around outside smoking. Now, woman, you will learn the real truth about what music is. He slammed open the door, pushing me inside. I was hit first of all by an overwhelming level of noise. The bar was filled with hundreds of people. Young, old, kids, all came together in a feast of noise, playing music, singing along, stamping their feet, dancing on the tables to an upbeat song I barely knew of. I wasn't much of a chart hits person. If I followed music still, I would see him. Not something I longed for anymore. I stood there trying to make sense of what I was seeing. What is this? Welcome to Crake, he answered warmly, where everyone gets together, gets shit-faced, and has a great time doing it. He held out a glass to me filled with some amber liquid. Get that down you some good Irish whiskey and get the fuck out there and join in. And ye be damn grateful if I don't end up teaching ye to river dance by the end of the night. He peeled my coat and bag off of me, throwing it and his under a table. Before downing his drink, he held out his hand to me to drag me up to dance. Well, can't hurt to try, I guess, I mumbled, downing the bitter drink, trying not to gag, and then that was it. I was swept into the middle of it all, swung around in countless dances. A few more of those strong drinks later, and I couldn't help myself but start singing with the rest of them, caught up in the moment and the mellow feeling creeping over me from the strong liquor. I was happy for the first time in a long time. He smiled at me as I threw my head back, half singing, half shouting the chorus. Good lassie, it's the Crake, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you have a few flat voices. The blending of the tones makes it Sounds sweet anyway. He pulled me into an embrace so I could hear him over the voices around us. And you have the voice of an angel, I promise. I felt an irresistible urge to kiss him as I looked into those sweet, kind brown eyes. But why should I resist? He was right there, our faces almost touching. I reached out, crossing the distance between us, kissing him, feeling his arms wrap around me as he broadened the kiss. His tongue danced across my mouth, making me, Jerry Bear, cover your ears, baby. His tongue danced across my mouth, making me almost moan at the slight touch. We lingered in the moment for as long as we could before we had to break for air or die. He studied my face before stroking my cheek. So, another drink? I nodded, watching as he danced his way through the crowd to refill our glasses. Maybe he was only after one thing, like most men, but right now, I would happily give it to him, even if I risked losing everything again in the morning. I finally felt like I had a home, a place where I could completely be myself. Chapter 3. Thought we had company. We danced until the early hours, falling out of the bar door and onto the drizzling streets as the last few people wandered back to cars or taxi ranks. He put his jacket around my shoulders, even though I already had a coat on. It was a cute motion. He smelled of whiskey and strong cologne, kissing my cheek before throwing an arm around my waist. We were both a little drunk, or maybe a lot. It was hard to tell anymore. I knew the world had a very slight spin to it that was unnatural, maybe not so slight as the cold air hit, and I snuggled more into his shoulder. Where are you staying? I will walk you home, Adrian offered. I scrambled in my pocket for the scruffy piece of paper, now damp from the rain, with my address and the door access codes written down. Wherever this is. He took it, studying the letters, having to focus his eyes a few times, more drunk than he had expected. Fedek, this is all the way across town past O'Connell Street. Let me try that again. Feck, this is all the way across town past O'Connell Street. Glancing over the queue for taxis, he said, we could be waiting a while. I'm good to walk, I answered straight away. No way was I standing in the rain waiting for a ride. I am not, and ye are not walking alone in a strange city for like 40 minutes. Adrian snapped. He thought about options for a moment. Lily, my place is maybe 4 streets away from here. If you trust me enough and are comfortable enough to come with me, otherwise we can wait for a taxi. I smiled at him. If he was trying something with me, I was sure he would have by now. Okay, we can walk. We were one of the last couples walking down the riverside to our home. I found myself snuffled into his shoulder as we walked. He felt warm and safe. Feeling safe was rare to me. It had been that way for longer than I could remember. The lights shined on the river, making a romantic setting much different to the view of earlier that night. I could hear a smattering of fireworks going off in the distance, the end of someone's party. Adrian's hand stroked my back gently, pulling me closer to his side as a shady-looking guy crossed the road, watching until the man turned the corner out of sight before he turned to speak with me again. The setting got the better of me once again as I found myself kissing him, locked in a spell that neither of us were able to break, nor did we wish to. It felt like a little Hollywood musical moment. 2 people kissing with dramatic fireworks flashing in the background of a stunning riverside scene. When the kiss ended, Adrian stroked my face. Yous are drunk, darling. So are you. I'm not asking this of ye. I am not asking anything. Yous can spend the night without doing anything for it. I just want you to be safe. We can part in the morning, no hard feelings, or not. It is completely your choice. I just wanted to show you that you're not alone, he promised. I am always alone. Not anymore. Not if you don't want to be. I'm here for you, Adrian promised. Those last few words pushed me over the edge. I needed to feel him to believe that it was true, that there was one person who wouldn't abandon or give up on me, that I could one day be free of all the pain that was inside me. He was so perfect, everything I had ever wanted or needed in a man. I knew it was more than likely far too good to be true, and he would throw me away as soon as we had fucked. But in this instance, I needed more than just talking. I pulled him against me, not caring if anyone in the street saw us. Needy kisses, trying to find a reason to wake up tomorrow. My hand under his jumper stroked his chest. I surprised myself when I found a nipple ring hiding. He hissed. Young lady, keep that up, and I'll take you to bed and give you a good spanking. Promises, promises. I smiled against his lips, kissing him again. He bit my lip, broadening the kiss one last time before pulling my hand out of his shirt. He held my hand as he pulled me down the dark street to a tower block facing the water. They looked expensive, the type I had looked at and longed for half my life. Shaking fingers, he punched a code into a keypad to open the security gate, and then a second to allow them into the foyer of the building. Security guards patrolled, dressed in smart, expensive suits. I was sure cost as much as my last job had paid me all year. Adrian nodded at them and them towards me, clearly saying that I was okay before they pressed a button to allow us entry to the main building. As soon as the lift doors closed on us, giving us a small amount of privacy, Adrian pushed me against the wall, kissing me more thoroughly than I had ever been kissed in my life before. Yet also touching me more lovingly, more respectfully than I could ever have expected of a one night stand. He was driving me insane. I needed to feel him so badly that I was seconds away from pulling the emergency stop button to take him right here and caring if anyone came in. Before I could, we finally reached the top floor of the building. He pulled me after him, unlocking the third door on the corridor with a fob hanging from his keychain. Adrian slammed the door behind us, pointing towards doors around us. Living room, bathroom, bedroom, second bedroom, kitchen, office space. Do you want a tour? He stared at me, breathing heavily. I really don't care what your house looks like right now. I grabbed him again for more kisses, both of us shedding clothes on our way to the couch. He lifted my black velvet dress over my shoulders with care, admiring the black lace hiding underneath. I tugged at the buttons, the stiff collared shirts on that stiff collared shirt, wanting to see that nipple ring for myself. The tight, skinny jeans showed every inch of his beautiful ass. Jerry Bear, if you got any skinny jeans, I want to see you in some skinny jeans, baby. The tight, skinny jeans showed every inch of his beautiful ass, as well as the forming erection. He dragged them off as I removed the shirt. He laid me on the sofa, my leg wrapped around him as he took in the folds of lace, kissing down my chest as he laid me down gently. He played with my nipples through the lace, my body arching up toward his. I stroked my hands down his back, tracing the muscles from his working life. My nails barely scraped the flesh, making him thrust against me, trying to find some relief before the aching need. I pulled his boxers down to gain access to what I wanted to feel, stroking my hand across his crotch, pushing against my hand, wanting more. You're so beautiful, he murmured into my neck between kisses. But I made you a promise. He pulled me up enough that he could gain access to my ass, cupping it before slapping it several times. I found myself moaning his name as I stroked him. Bedroom? He asked. Bedroom, I agreed. Chapter 4, Lily's Point of View. I woke up in the late morning light and my head ached dully. There was a warm body snuggled up next to me. His arms tightened around me as I moved slightly. A comfortable sensation. I felt kisses down my naked back as soft hands massaged my spine until I relaxed against him. Nope, not the usual one night stand, not that I had much experience with them. I gave myself over to the loving sensations, closing my eyes. A moment I wished I could stay in forever, but I knew soon I would have to leave before he did. I wouldn't risk hurting anyone else or being hurt by them either. Adrian kissed my shoulder and rolled away from me. He tucked the blanket in behind me to keep me warm. I must have fallen back to sleep, as the next thing I knew, there was a hand softly shaking my shoulder. A paper cup of hot chocolate waved under my nose that smelt divine. In the colors of some artisan coffee shop that was no doubt nearby. I doubt I don't know what it was about the new city, or maybe it was just the incredible night of passion, but it tasted better than anything I've ever tried before. I sat up in bed, watching the cute shirtless man collecting the clothes that we left all over the place. I ran yous a bath whenever you are ready for it. There are fresh towels warming, and I brought you things from the hotel. You didn't pack much warm clothing, so please feel free to borrow some of mine. Help yourself to anything you need, Adrian offered. You brought all my clothes? I asked, seeing my battered suitcase on the floor at the end of the bed. Adrian paused a little nervously. Look, darling, that place was a dive. I am not having you stay there. I have two bedrooms. You can stay here as long as you like, or I can get you a better hotel. Whatever you feel comfortable with. If you need money, I will give you whatever you need. I have more than I can ever spend. We can go shopping and get you some more clothes. Just tell me what you need, and it's all yours. I looked at the floor, wrapping the sheet more firmly around my still naked form. I wasn't comfortable with any of this. I guess I should go take that bath. Please excuse me. Adrian's point of view. I love you, Jerry. Adrian's point of view. I sighed as she shuffled off to the bathroom, dragging her suitcase with her. I knew I pushed too far this time. All I wanted to do was help, but how to do that without making her feel like running? She'd clearly been hurt too many times before to trust anyone. That was something only time and large amounts of love could fix. I hoped she would permit me to try to do that for her. I wanted to kill that bloody ex of hers for fucking up such a loving person with the bullshit dramas. Then again, that asshole always broke everything he touched, so it was hardly a surprise that yet again I was cleaning up his mess. Lily's point of view. I relaxed in the bath, thinking about what Adrian said. Nina Vinci, I can hear Big Daddy back here, and he is laughing his ass off. I don't even know what's going on. Just saying. After the kind of day he's had, laughing sounds pretty good. I relaxed in the bath, thinking about what Adrian said. There were candles all around the bath, scented rose petals floating on the water. Romantic, loving. I didn't know how to handle that. I knew I needed to run before I had time to even think about falling for him. Last night would never happen again. I couldn't risk staying here. I could fall for that man all too easily, and that would not do. I needed to keep running to keep myself safe. A short time later, I found myself dressed, hovering around near the bathroom door, suitcase in hand. All I needed to do was grab my coat off the door and my handbag and run. Just run. It didn't matter where, just anywhere this freaky niceness wasn't. I eased the door open slowly to peek around it. The room was empty. A sweater lay on the bed with a note. I went to read it. Hey, Lily. I don't want to be pushy. I just want to help you get through all of this, to be a good friend to you. Under this note is €500. If you want to take it and find a new hotel, I will not chase you. Or you can come find me outside waiting in a car to take you to explore Dublin's stunning coastline. It is up to you, Adrian. It was sweet. Options. My past didn't give me many of those. My control, my power was often taken from me. I stashed the money in my handbag, knowing I shouldn't take it. It was charity. However, he burned my hotel plans by checking me out early. So I guess that it was kind of fair. The sweater I hesitated over, but I had to grudgingly accept. I did have need of it, at least until I could purchase my own out of the euro. Pulling it over my head, my jacket on top, I headed out onto the street level, dragging my suitcase. I did plan to run. I was ready to. I wasn't going to allow another singer to break me. And then I saw him sitting in the car outside waiting for me. He looked worried, watching the door for me to appear. He looked like he was going to get out of the car and come talk to me, but he stopped himself, his hand on the corridor to see what I would do. This was a true free choice to make, not just an illusion of it gifted by a man who would just as fast betray me by forcing me to bend to his will. Adrian's point of view. I fiddled around with the things in the car, checking the picnic for the fifth time, even though I knew every single little thing was prepared for. All it took now was a choice. Did she want to be saved, or was she already lost? Had that selfish, spineless coward of a man who used and abused everyone around him ruined her too deeply? Had that bastard taken everything from both of us? Perhaps I should give him a good thrashing next time I see him and teach him how to treat a lady. My phone rang. I answered it with a distracted, yeah. I see. I have the background check on Lily Charmaine that you asked for, a voice answered. It was my bed manager. Oh, hey, Brad, I answered. And what's the verdict? She's a few thou in debt, no real savings, an average life. Never really been in trouble, no police report records. A few points of interest, though. I saw her come out of the door and stand on the pavement looking at me. I had to bring this to a close before she made that choice. And no known address. She closed out her rental last week, cleared out her bank accounts, and rented a storage unit for a few small possessions. Paid up 6 months in advance. She has no return ticket to England, Brad answered. My mouth dropped open. So she did mean it. This was a one-way trip to float in the Liffey over a man. That man. It seems that you saved her life. But for how long? I mused with a sigh. Pay the debts off, put a reasonable amount in her account that she can live off, and draw up the paperwork for the tax office. I don't want her busted because it looks like money laundering. And send that bastard a message from me that I am going to snap his spine in two. It will be done by the end of the day, Brad assured me, dropping the call. I went to get out of the car, just wanting to hug her tightly. Now I knew she was serious about her own loss of life. To hold her until all the pain was gone. It broke my heart to know that blasted man made a human being feel like they had no options other than death. I barely stopped myself as I started to open the door. I had to let Lily come to me, or it would all be for nothing. Please don't run, I muttered under my breath. I couldn't watch this. I closed my eyes, leaning back in the chair to let her do whatever she needed to. Yet I knew inside if she did run, I would be walking these rainy streets until I found her and knew she was safe. One more chapter and I'll be done. Lily's point of view. Even in years to come, I would still ask myself why I got in the car that day. Why I didn't run screaming from the man that was daring to try to defrost my heart of ice. Perhaps I was already smitten. I know now that he already was. But get in the car I did, throwing my suitcase on the back seat as I climbed into the passenger seat. So one day, just one, and I expect to be in a nice hotel room tonight. If not, I am leaving for good, I stated coldly. No room for an argument or any form of negotiation. My way or the highway, that was how I worked. Adrian respected that with a nod and turning the radio on to some 80s channel he knew I would like. Lena loves the 80s. He pulled out of the car, nodding to some pills and a bottle of water waiting for me by the side of my seat. As they drove, as he drove, he found himself singing along to snatches of the songs playing. Caught up in the moment, I even found myself starting to sing along with him. It felt good to just be without thinking of all my drama and pain buried so deep inside. I had simply been existing and surviving for so long, I barely knew what it was to just have fun anymore. By the end of the hour's drive, I had to admit, I did feel a little better. Wow, I breathed as we came up on the coastline. Adrian was proud of himself for finding somewhere she liked so easily. Killiney Beach, popular tourist spot, even more popular with a richer class of people. He pointed to some huge houses in the distance. These are all owned by upper class musicians. I am sure you can Google which ones if you really wish to. Like you, I answered coldly. Adrian laughed. Nah, I'm not into buying so many rooms that I can't find my keys for a month and we have to phone each other to find out where the other is in the house. You saw my house. I have a few small properties, places where I work regularly. I find it cheaper than using hotels, but that much splash, no. I would far rather have a home than a showpiece for guests. I nodded. Kind of understand that. I'm on the move all the time. I never have much time to settle down. But if I could, I would want somewhere cozy, not a giant cold space that doesn't feel like it's mine. Otherwise, you might as well just live in hotels forever. Well, you can stay at mine for as long as you like. I can get you a key cut, he said as they pulled up. I didn't answer, but I did follow him out of the car, breathing in the cool sea air. This place is wonderful. I could sketch here for days. He smiled warmly at me. Yeah, I figured you would like it. I didn't know you sketched. He hitched the backpack picnic onto his shoulders, leading me down a dark staircase to the stony beach. I think he could tell I was itching to take pictures to remember it by. What happened to your phone? I shrugged. Somewhere in the Liffey, so I never have to hear from that monster with a human face again. He passed her his phone. Take any pictures you like. I will transfer them when you get a phone or laptop. I took it with delight, snapping pictures of everywhere around them, running ahead to explore, working out all the best angles to create a sketch from. I would want to remember this place for a long time. Adrian followed behind. He picked over the bigger stones as he walked, picking up the odd piece of polished sea glass or a pretty shell, stashing them in a pocket to decorate his home. He had a bowl of cleaned shells from the beach in his bathroom, a little reminder of this magical place when he felt low, which could be often given his isolated work. He pointed out the views of Donkey Island and Brayhead, going full on tour guide as we walked. It wasn't as cold as it could have been and mostly dry. We picked a good day to come. The October day was as warm and clear as if it were summer. When we had walked for a while, he pulled me to one side, stretching his jacket over the damp stones for her to sit on. As he unpacked the picnic, dropping cans of soda into the edge of the water to stay cold, sharing the meal with me in almost silence, the view taking precedence over words. Thank you for bringing me here, I said quietly. So, he asked, packing the remains away, do you want to tell me what that man did to you, or do I have to get you drunk again first? I sighed, fiddling with the soda can in my hands. Drunk would be far easier. He nodded. I get that, but what if I offer to make a nice dinner for you tonight? with as much wine as you like and home cooked Italian. I still hesitated. Just tell me what you can and then stop when it gets too much, he suggested. I shrugged. We were best friends for longer than I can remember before he got famous. While he was still struggling as an artist, starving and with nowhere to stay. We shared money and he crashed on my sofa. We were there for each other through everything: breakups, health scares, homelessness, abuse, so fucking much. I never thought anything could break us, and certainly not the fucking thing. Draining the soda can, I added. Sounds perfect, I guess. The kind of friendship that everyone should have, but sadly few gain. Adrian reached out to touch my shoulder as I wiped away tears, but I waved him off. Now I didn't dare stop, or it would overwhelm me completely. Yeah, it was perfect. It was everything that I ever wanted. He was the only family I ever had. He made me feel safe, loved, wanted, like I had a place in the world. He was someone who needed me, not just used me like almost every other human I ever met. When I paused for air, he rubbed my back. So, what happened? How could you lose someone that close to you? I shrugged. The fame made it harder, but we tried our best. Time zones, tours, recording studios. There was always a reason to give up and stop trying. Social media apps made it survivable, if not easy. One of us always ended up staying up all night to communicate with the other. Good morning and good night texts were often all we could manage, but we always kept on trying. Movie nights over Skype, online gaming together. We would stay on the phone. He would stay on the phone with me all night so I could sleep without the nightmares from my past. Did you never try to go to him? Surely you could have been a runner or a backing singer. There are always places on tour for friends. Adrian asked. The glare I gave him made it clear it was a sore subject even before I snapped back at him. Yeah, well, the fame game whores kept telling me that I was a gold digger, that I would ruin his career, that I could never understand who he really was, even though I never touched a fucking single penny of his. I even used to buy him lunch. But no, they kept spreading their shit, dumbing him down with drinks and drugs, convincing him that he didn't need me anymore. Now and then, he would see me through their BSs and come back to me so I could get him sober again. But eventually, I would lose him back to that as far as I would lose him back to them as I was so far away. They would dope him up again, and months would pass before we could speak again. It was them who eventually broke up our relationship, convincing him to cheat while he was touring, telling him it didn't count as I hadn't bothered to come on tour, even though I fought to be allowed to come and he refused, blaming me always for everything he did when it was all them. Always them. I was up and pacing out in pure anger at the sore memories. Anger was coming off me in waves. The friends are what finally lost you's the guy, he asked. I started shredding a piece of seaweed just for something for my hands to do as I stared into the ocean, unable to face him. No, in the end, the man he cheated with came back and wanted us all three to become friends. I didn't want that. I knew how it would end. We talked about trying again, a fresh start as lovers and me going on the next tour. We finally sorted through all the baggage and we were so happy together. So much so, I stupidly let his ex back into our lives and our movie nights. I tried to make room for his friend, to trust that we were secure enough he would never cheat again, not when we were only just talking about getting back together. Adrian sighed. The asshole got drunk and cheated. I laughed. That's the worst thing. He wasn't even drunk. I made a rule to help us work something out. They would have nights together to do whatever as friends without me and without telling me where they were going. as long as I had my nights alone with him too, without them asking. It was hard. I was jealous of them, but I tried to stick to it. Then there were the nights we all agreed to hang out together and try not to kill each other. I thought it respectful to all parties concerned. Only I did, however. God, I'd kill for a beer right now, tears flowing freely down my face. It was a respectful plan. I don't see why it didn't work, he answered, coming to rub my shoulders, waiting for me to find the strength to continue if it was possible. It worked for a few weeks. Then they started ditching me to go out together, or even worse, forcing me to spend time with only both of them. If I said no, then they would walk out and say I was unreasonable and have the day together. He took my place on the tour without even asking me. I was all packed and waiting to go, only for my ride to never turn up. They refused to turn my calls for weeks. I stood up for myself when I found a picture online of them both together on tour. Their post about date nights, all while he was still hinting he wanted to get back with me. It got toxic really fast. They called me a jealous bitch, an overly dramatic whore, poisonous and crazy, and so many other things. Short of it, they decided I needed to be locked up, that I was the only one with a problem. They did no wrong. Just batshit crazy Lily having a mood swing. I should understand they were just practically good. They were just particularly good friends. And then I walked in on them in bed together on my birthday. They stood me up on my birthday to fuck. That's how little either of them cared about me. All through those months, all the arguments and fights, they made it clear it was 100% my fault and mine only, constantly telling me they did nothing wrong. Adrian pulled me into a tight embrace as the tears came heavier and I finally broke down over it all. I collapsed into his arms. I had nothing left. It is not your fault. It was theirs. The drink, the drugs, the fame, the fake friends. If you don't have a strong mind and a good grounding of friends, it is impossible to resist the temptations. No one person could ever carry the weight of all that for him. It wasn't the fact that you were not enough for him. He was never enough to resist the temptations. You did all that you could. I promise you, none of this was your fault. Yes, you fought back. Yes, it got toxic, but it never would have if they respected your boundaries and damn well made it work. He pulled me down to sit on his lap, watching the ocean as I cried out years worth of agonies. Ta-da! What y'all think? Pretty good, huh? Nina, you got any of the prices on this book? Because I don't. She sent me a copy, so I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have anything on it. $0.99. All right, you guys, go buy it. It's a pretty cute little thing there. There was lightning here somewhere, y'all. According to my tablet. I like that book. That was cute. What y'all think? Jerry, this is for you, baby. But that's part of it. You're supposed to nod off. I'm your bedtime story reader. It's also on Kindle Unlimited. It's 200 pages. All righty. Nina, it's $1.25. It ain't 99 cents, darling. It's $1.25. But it's free on KU. So, $1.25. Still cheaper than a cup of coffee. I'll work on my Irish accent. Apparently, I do that one a little better than I do the rest of my accents. It's the Irish coming out of me. My daddy was Black Irish. So, blame it on the phone. Blame it on the phone. Jerry, there was a baby in there, and I skipped that just for you. Alrighty, folks. So next week will be Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I'm out of town Thursday and Friday. So I got a trip to Savannah. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Savannah, Georgia, here I come. The Riley Atkins acting Jolly girls are coming to town. So, alrighty, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Keep the drama down. Stay out of jail. No, Jerry, I got 2. Allie's going with me, Chris's sister, and my niece. My niece is going to check out the college down there. Georgia Southern, I don't know. Southwest Southern, I don't know. So, all righty. We'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. Until then, happy reading.